Yeah, I couldn't come up with anything there. So
Oh my God.
play with me. I'm like, yeah, that could go a different, whole different direction.
Welcome to the Greatest Lists podcast, a show about music and lists. This season, your hosts Jason and Eric are counting down the top 25 guitar solos of the 80s and the top 25 guitar solos of the 90s. Think your favorite made the list? Tune in and find out. Take it away, boys.
Welcome to Greatest Lists, a music and talk podcast featuring the lists of the greatest songs of all time. I'm Eric, your host for this episode, and joining me, as always, is my faithful sidekick, Jason. What's going on, Jason?
Oh, wait, I was the Lone Ranger just a few episodes ago. Now I'm the sidekick?
Now you're the sidekick.
Do I have to wear tights?
No.
Okay, good.
I don't need that picture in my head. We are continuing our season 2 list of our favorite guitar solos of all time. We're currently in the 80s. Before we continue, this episode is sponsored by HalloweenCostumes.com, which features the largest online selection of Halloween costumes ever created by humankind.
No doubt. True story. True story.
You can use our promo link in the show notes to save 15% on your entire order. Just click on the link and the savings are automatically added to your cart. But don't waste any time because you got to make your order before October 31st.
Do it, people.
So back to the countdown. We're currently counting down the top 25 guitar solos of the 80s. And in this episode, we are talking about the band Extreme, which we've covered before a couple times. This time we're talking about their song, Play With Me.
Behind the music.
So the band Extreme formed in Boston, Massachusetts in 1985. Before getting signed to A&M Records in '87, they grew their following, regional following, so much that they were named Outstanding Hard Rock and Heavy Metal Act at the Boston Music Awards in '86 and in '87.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they've released 6 studio albums, 2 compilation albums since their formation. The band was one of the most successful rock acts of the early 1990s, selling over 10 million albums worldwide. Their guitar player, Nuno Duarte Gil Mendes Betancourt, was born in Portugal in 1966.
Wow. Mouthful.
Quite a name, wasn't it? Aside from Extreme, he's played with his own bands, Mourning Widows, Population 1, Drama Gods, Satellite Party, and he's played in a compilation band of other guitarists called Generation X. He's also been the guest musician for the likes of Janet Jackson. He played on Rhythm Nation. He played the rhythm guitar on Rhythm Nation. Played for Robert Palmer, Tony Braxton, Rihanna, Steel Panther, Joe Jonas, and Nickelback, among others. The song that we're talking about, Play With Me, was released in February of '89 in conjunction with the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, they did not release a video for this song. That's a travesty.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, they could have easily had like a Footloose type video of just movie footage and gotten that song on MTV, but they didn't do that.
Yeah, or the freaking mall. I mean,
yeah, even that. Yeah. Just like you said, the song plays in the movie's mall scene. And an interesting note is while the movie features Beethoven as a character, the intro for this song is a souped-up variation on Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's Turkish March, a famous classical piano piece.
Yeah.
So
I totally did not know. You think of it, you correlate it with Beethoven, you think it's Beethoven, but it's not
right?
Beethoven.
No, it's Mozart. Yeah. Nuno has said in previous interviews that the music for this song was inspired by one of his favorite bands in the '80s, Kix, which I did not know that. Would never have put him together with those guys. And as far as the lyrics go, there are 43 toys or games mentioned among other kid items as he's singing all those lyrics.
Did you count those?
I did. I pulled up the lyrics and I went right down the
Wow.
right down the line.
That's dedication, people.
Yeah,
You're not
well,
going to
yeah.
get that on
Hey,
any other
Hey,
podcast.
I am all in on these shows, people. This is all for you. The song also appears, and this is one thing I have a problem with. The song also appears in the first episode of season 4 of Stranger Things,
Oh, it did?
which is out of place because the season 4 of Stranger Things is set in 1986, and that's 3 years before
Yeah.
the song came out.
I don't remember them using the song, and I'll have to go back and watch season 4 again. Thanks.
It's in the first episode, so you've only got to listen to one episode.
Okay.
Or watch one episode.
Let's get personal.
The first time I heard Extreme was in the Bill and Ted movie, during the mall scene. But since there wasn't a video for it, it didn't get a lot of play on mainstream radio. And of course, no play on MTV. But when we saw it at the movie, we stayed after to watch the credits to see who the band was that played during that scene. And then went out and picked up that album a couple days later. And I've been a fan ever since. I've seen them a couple times live in concert. They're just fantastic musicians, all of them. They're just so talented. Gary Sharon, the lead singer. I think I mentioned this on one of our 90s shows for Extreme. He's the only vocalist I've ever seen with a vocal solo in concert. You know how the guitar player has a guitar solo, a drum solo, vocal solo. So this album was great. The next album, Pornography, like we talked about in the first half of season 1, was just amazing. So I've been a fan since I first heard them on Bill and Ted. So what about you?
Yeah, I never made the correlation between them and the movie. I came in at Pornography, so that and Three Sides I've listened to the most over the years. So right. I have listened to this album, but just not as much as those two,
right?
Over the years. But yeah, now the song in particular I've listened to several times, just because how ridiculous Mino's playing is on this song.
Yeah,
I mean it's almost, there's some songs that you could call his like Eruption, but man, this song in particular just displays his talents for all to see. I mean, so awesome. But I've been a fan of Extreme really since Pornography and the Three Sides album. Like, probably, I think we talked about before, where Pornography was more your album that you listen to over and over. Three Sides has been mine over the years, and just almost a perfect album in my opinion. I love it top to bottom. So, and listening to their new stuff too. I go over to YouTube now, and in their recommended videos, I see Nuno doing the solo for Rise, like in concert all the time now. So
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
The breakdown.
I mean, where do you start with this? I don't even know where to start with this solo. And that's the way I felt when the people, one of the people I went and saw the movie with was a guitar player, and we were both looking at each other like, who the hell is that? I mean,
and how is he doing that? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So we literally hung around till the credits just to see who it was. But this solo is just it's just everywhere. I mean, it starts out with that signature sound he had, that he palm mutes the string and does the really fast picking with the delay. That's how he starts it out.
Yeah.
And some of the runs in the middle of it are not only difficult because they're fast, but because they span so many frets. Like, he has to stretch out his hand to cover. Like, there's one of those runs that goes third fret, fifth fret, seventh fret, which if you're just playing that just normal, that's a pretty big stretch. If you're playing those licks, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, just straight up ridiculous.
Every sense of the word. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah. But the one, I think for me, my favorite part of this is not the main solo. It's the solo he's playing as the solo outro when they come back in and start singing the chorus. Mm-hmm. He's playing this tapping lick, and then he just takes the whammy bar and bottoms it out and comes back up and keeps playing. And he does all of that in one take. That's not, I'm patching together 4 or 5 takes and then making it sound this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can watch him live on YouTube and he plays it that way. It's not, there were several guitarists in the 80s and 90s that would piece together a solo and then would have to learn how to play it because they piece together, great takes and pieces. That's not what that's not what he does. And it just is ridiculous.
Every sense of the word. I mean, again, using the classical music in there adds something to this that just blows you away. I mean, almost like masterpiece kind of terminology here.
Right.
But yeah, you get his signature style that it's just so quick and you're just left wondering how can someone do that with the guitar? It's just so,
and he does it with
so ridiculous.
And he does it. He makes it look so effortless. I mean, if you watch,
that's right. Yeah, and
just
even like I mentioned, watching the Rise solo.
Yeah.
How stretched out his hand has to be, and you're using all 4 fingers and just as stretched out as you can be.
Yeah.
And to make it sound the way it is, I mean, it's so crazy.
Even and the both of us have mentioned the YouTube show with Rick Beato, and he has an interview with Rick Beato, and they're just trading licks and talking about the licks, and the way he plays is just so effortless. He just and then I do this, and he just plays it. And I'm like,
okay,
he could be doing his taxes too while he's doing it. There's no effort whatsoever.
Yeah. But he adds licks in there too. I mean, not just the classical beginning, but like you said at the end, it's just really fun.
Yeah.
And makes it a great song overall.
True story. So Play With Me comes in at number 11 on our countdown. And we have, I have 3 songs for our bonus songs this week. There were 2 other songs on that debut album that got some pretty good rotation on MTV because they had videos. So we're going to play those 2. One of them is called Mutha, and one of them is called Kid Ego. And we're going to, so those will be our first 2. And then because their new album, they had a new album come out 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
It is ridiculously good. And so you just mentioned the song. We're going to play that one too. We're going to play Rise from their newest album that came out a few months ago. If you have Spotify Premium, you're going to hear all those songs in their entirety. If you're a free Spotify user, you're going to hear little clips of it. And otherwise, you're just going to have to go out and find the song clip links in your favorite music app to hear the songs if you want to hear them. Look us up on social media. You can find us on Twitter or X or whatever you prefer to call it. We are at Greatest Lists. You can also find us on YouTube at Greatest Lists or at our website, greatestlistspodcast.com. Jason, we'll be back in our next episode as we crack into the top 10.
Yes. Top 10. Here we come. It's going to get crazy, people. It's going to get crazy.
Thanks for listening to The Greatest Lists. We look forward to continuing our countdown with you next episode.
You've been listening to The Greatest Lists.